I want to show you one of my favorite basic pattern techniques that I use all the time in my own studio. This is the method I use when I'm designing patterns for Vogue, when I go from one rendition to another, and it enables me to keep my pattern as is without destroying it or changing it, really. So in this case, I'm going to show you what I've been doing with this pattern, which is 8582, and in the pattern envelope, it looks like a little tunic. But if you look at the line drawing on the back and you think about, oh, what would happen if I just eliminated that little side piece, you have an absolutely great basic t-shirt. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in the grain line. And this 2-inch by 48-inch ruler is one of my most often reached for tools. Then what I am going to do is I'm going to line up the grain line, and if you look at the pattern, you can see what I've done is I've replicated the side seam and I've drawn in a new hem. So that's what I'm going to work with here. And then I'll just weight my pattern down with little weights. Then I'm going to take plain old garden variety tracing paper. You know, we all have this in our stash. And what I'm going to do with the tracing paper is I'm going to slip it underneath the pattern so that the colored side is down, of course. And then using a needle wheel, which you can use a tracing wheel. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around the whole pattern. And can you see how I can go right on the edge so you're really, really accurate? I know in class I've seen people who just want to cut using the pattern. But the problem is, over a period of time, you are going to change your original pattern. So this helps to keep the original pattern pristine. I should say also, if I'm going to use this pattern right out of the envelope, I do not do this. I am doing this because I want to make some other renditions of the pattern that I'm going to cut up. Oh, this is important. I'm working with the front, and I want to get my sleeve matching marking points. Let me also say that this, I'll go back to the other side because I forgot to do it over here. This is a pattern that I have adjusted so that I know that it fits me. So when I now want to make other changes to it, it makes it really easy. So I'll remove the weights, remove the pattern piece. What I'll do now is I'll clean up my lines a little bit. Because I'm going to make this symmetrical, the first thing I'll do on this pattern is just fold it in half along the grain line. And then I know that both sides will be the same because the original pattern was asymmetrical. Where there's a fold, I always make a 1/2 inch straight line so that if I cut this, which I will, I don't get a little valley or a little mountain. At the neckline as well. So I mark this at a right angle. And then for the neckline, I would just lay this in here. See, because my little tracing line is a little bit wobbly. And so I use whatever part of the curve seems to be right. So what I'm going to now do is just trace this off. And what I'm going to end up with is what is sometimes referred to as a full pattern piece. So this means the whole front, as opposed to a pattern piece where you would cut the front on the fold. So then, at this point, I can use it either way. So I want to show you a couple of my favorite garments and how I'm doing a spin-off of these garments on a t-shirt that I'm going to make. So I really was interested in the fact that this French designer had taken it's a little black cardigan, and they had just pieced it together, but pieced it together asymmetrically. Because we're going to take this concept and play with it. So here's the front, and then the jacket, which is also the same designer, one of my favorite French designers. Isn't this interesting that they have used, see, the same kind of basic concept on a woven garment? So here's the back of the jacket. Everything is cut asymmetrically. So they have not put a seam straight down the center. It's offset. And I think we've got a similar thing going on in the front of it. It's very subtle, but it's very fun. And I am really inspired to try and recreate it for myself. So it's all asymmetrical. Okay, even the sleeves, see the way the sleeves are seamed. They've got a seam going down the center of the sleeve that follows the shoulder, but then there's piecing at the bottom. So it's very subtle. The fabrics are really humble. This is just a little cotton poplin. But what I find is this is kind of like the French version of a jean jacket. This is a throw-over jacket that you might hesitate to spend $600 for and wear every day, knock around and go to the grocery store in. But if somebody had given it to you and you didn't know how much it cost, you would be happy to wear it all the time.